And like Justin Blaze just said, you are tuned into the Combat Jack Show featuring Dallas Penn with our illustrious guest Fab Five, Freddy Fab.
What's up, baby?
I saw Wild Style on 42nd Street, B, when it came out.
Okay.
And at the time, and I'm thinking back now, it still remains my favorite quote-unquote hip-hop movie.
Oh, man,
right?
Thank you so much.
So now you're running through New York City, right?
And it's held up. Real talk, it is held up.
No, it has held up. A to the K?
It has held up.
A to the mother.
There you go. So you're running with Jean-Michel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you in the same circle or running, or have you met Andy Warhol at the time?
Yeah, we met Andy. I met Andy, actually, the first time I met Andy was through hanging with Deborah Harry, Chris Stein, from Blondie.
Right.
So they were like, because I was letting them know, what kind of moves I was trying to make and things I was trying to do, and they were like, cool. So they were really the first patron supporters of my work as an artist, brought some of the first canvases that I sold in America. They were the first people to buy Jean-Michel's work as well. So, I remember I went to a party one night and I met Andy, which was cool. We didn't talk much.
Man? How was Andy?
It was cool. It was real cool. It was this whole,
Hey, was he squeezing on your arm?
No,
was he sizing you up?
No, Andy was not on none of that. He was real, like, he was like, his public persona was very kind of, well crafted.
Right.
He would just say minimal things like, okay, yeah, nice, gee, wow. And, until you really get to know him, then he'd conversate and drop crazy jewels on you. But,
so this is the question I want to ask you.
Yeah.
You got the Campbell Soup can, you're all city. Right.
Well, you're not all city, but that one train. That one
train is making its route.
Yeah.
The whole Blondie thing is popping off. The Rapture thing is popping off.
Some of that's
right.
Things are going on.
You're a movie star now. You're on 42nd Street. You're on Wild Style, right? You know what I'm saying? You're the ambassador of hip hop.
I'm a local,
but you're on 42nd Street, B.
Yeah, on 42.
How fucking ill was that, B? Like, come on, for real, Fab. This is me, B.
Yeah.
How fucking ill was that, B?
It's different for me. Let me give me.
Nigga, how big was your chest back then, B?
It wasn't big at all. Because my aspiration was never, ever, ever to be on camera in front of anybody. Okay?
You behind the camera.
My inspiration for Wild Style was to be behind, directing, producing, just pulling the string,
pushing the buttons.
Very comfortable in the background.
Right.
Was always my MO. You know what I'm saying?
But then you ended up in front of the camera.
It was one of them 11th hour moves. We had cast the whole movie. We had all the actors in place, and Charlie Ahern looks at me, and we a week away, damn near, from starting to shoot Wild Style, and Charlie's like, Fred, why don't you do it? And it was the character Fade, which was a pivotal character that we constructed, because I guess one of the things that's important to know, prior to this culture, everybody's had this culture for 30 years, if you will, but there was no real established connection anywhere in the media that the music, the dancing, break dancing, b-boying, graffiti, DJing, they were all interconnected.
Even the actual culture, like the relationship that takes place, or the relationships that take place in that movie. So you see, like
that was the idea for the movie, was to show these connections.
Right.
So we crafted a story that linked this stuff up together. That was the motivation for my motivation for getting the movie made, and Charlie and I worked together. But basically what happened was, this character was this link. The character had been a graffiti writer and had known Lee from back in the days when he painted trains, but he had become a hip-hop promoter at this hip-hop club in the Bronx, and then he hires the graffiti writer to come and do the piece outside on the wall at the Dixie in the movie. And so this character was pivotal. It was kind of inspired by Phase 2. He was a graffiti writer from that first era in New York, from the Bronx, that we found had also would do some of the early flyers for some of the early hip-hop parties, that, the Flash, the Theodore, the Funky 4+1. He was one of those guys that would draw those flyers. Plus, he was one of the first B-boys, the first guys to breakdance. So my character, Fade, was designed based on that character. And Charlie, really was very convincing that I should
hesitant?
I was never anywhere on my radar. No, he had to very relentlessly pursue and persist to get me to agree to play that character.
What got you to agree?
Money. Well, I was still living at home, and I wanted. It was, I was impressed that Jean-Michel had pretty much ran away from home. He was couch surfing different people's couches. He was dead busted, sneaking on trains. I mean, we was beyond poor, but I was still taking the train,
and loving it.
Well, it wasn't so much loving it. It was a grind, B, but it was like, okay, I'm gonna rough it like this, but I'm trying to get from point A to point B quick.
Right.
But this is what I'm gonna have to do in the interim, and I was still taking the A train. That long ride back home to Bed-Stuy, to Utica Avenue, be like after being at clubs until 4, 5, 6 in the morning. And so the opportunity to have my own crib was one of my incentives.
So you got
I got
your
my
crib.
first crib on Clinton Street, LES, and then I was like, yes,
right
finally.
in the mix.
And you're a movie star.
No, I was not a movie star. I was
being humble, B.
No, seriously, dog.
Because you got to think about this.
Yeah.
As this seed of this culture is really starting to take roots in New York, it's also spreading around the world.
Yeah, but
so cats are seeing this.
Nobody was recognizing me.
Nah. Fab, whenever I saw you, I swear to God.
I'm talking when Wild Style came out, 82, 83, my dog. It was cats seen the movie, but it wasn't like. And I'm moving in a realm at that time still. I'm never really venturing too much above 23rd Street.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But I could tell you one time I'm on a train. This is back in the 80s, right? And I'm sitting on the train, and I see this cat kind of eyeing me. And you ice grilling it. You on a train. You don't
know what it is.
You don't hold eye contact for more than 2 seconds with nobody on the train, even to this day, unless you know a person. It's that thing on the train.
Or you want to challenge somebody.
Or whatever.
Right.
But eye contact for more than 2-3 seconds on the train is awkward. So I could peep this cat staring at me. He looking kind of like he ready to get busy. So I got my grill on, and I'm like, all right, this might be something, I'm saying to myself. So I'm in the last car. I'm on the end of the train, the last seat. The brother kind of makes his move a little bit towards me. I can feel his energy looking at me. I feel like it's about to go down, so I'm ready for whatever it may be, right? So the train is pulling into a stop. It might have been Nostrand or whatever. And just as the train is about to stop, the brother says, yo, man. And I look at him, and he goes, yo, are you that dude that was in Wild Style?
Yeah.
And it was the furthest thing from my mind.
That's crazy.
Very uncommon to be recognized.
Right. That's crazy.
All that didn't really kick in until MTV really went, because it was still a relatively limited audience at that time.
Right. And we were talking off air about how my perspective, that was my universe. That's all I was seeing. So even though it was a small sub culture that wasn't even recognized yet, to me, that's all I knew.
No question.
So, that to this day, that movie remains like, the best, I think, in terms of spirit, in terms of how it's shot, in terms of authenticity, the best hip-hop movie to date.
Well, I like to say, so some of the humble beginnings of a lot of this culture, which is why it has really such a strong foundation, because it was from such pure... such a pure place, and for many of the foundation elements. Cats wasn't doing this to try to get rich, to get Bentleys, to pop bottles. None of those things were on the thing. It was just, I'm trying to just be recognized on my block, in my area, in my hood. We were making that movie to show on 42nd Street.
So that was a
proper,
specifically.
Because we knew that's where our target audience hung out on the weekends. Like if you was that urban cat, you put on your sweatshirt, your Lees, your Wranglers.
That's the hood can.
The Playboy
That's
bunny.
The hood con.
Yeah,
I'm
the Playboy bunny.
You had your
shirt.
name belt buckle.
Your sheepdog with matching hat.
Your hat. All of those.
Fab, did you have sheepdog pants?
No, I didn't go that far, my dog. Because, I'm from Bed-Stuy. Being stick-up kids was rampant. Right? So, like, if you rock stuff like that, you had to really be about it on a constant.
Yes.
So, But I just want to point out that our key goal was to make a movie that can play on 42nd Street.
Which you did successfully.
That was our numero uno inspiration. So everything else that has happened beyond that with this movie, like Rolling Stone voting it
number 7, right?
Number 7 of the top 20 music films of all time, including Woodstock, Gimme Shelter, The Harder They Come in Purple Rain, like movies of that caliber, musical movies. Wild Style's number 7.
7B.
So it's ridiculous the things that have happened as a result for the whole culture in general. The fact that the film is looked at as the foundation jump off point for seeing the earliest examples of this, you know. So that's a blessing.
But I'm still trying to figure out, man, because you're doing this thing, but you're walking in all the right spots. Everything from the outside looking in is popping off. I mean, you do this record, Change the Beat.
Oh, God.
Right?
Yeah.
You do this little, this stuff is really fresh, right?
Yeah.
And that becomes
that's crazy.
One of the most samples of all time.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Like you doing, like what the fuck are you doing right? Because like
everything.
I said, everybody's trying to get a piece of something. Yeah. But you're walking in the doors and shit is popping, B. Like, your shit is being sampled.
The OG's Van Gogh.
Like, Herbie Hancock sampled your shit.
No, it's DST. Grand Mixer DST is the person that gets credit for using that particular element on my record.
Right.
This stuff is really fresh. He felt and knew that that particular thing, it just makes a perfect sound to scratch. Right. The idea of scratching that DST did it first on Herbie Hancock's Rocket,
which was a huge record.
Yeah, that was a kind of interesting.
You couldn't hear that record. You can go anywhere in any city at the time and not hear that record.
Yeah, that was a big record, and that was also a breakout video on MTV that helped set the table for what I would soon or later do, which is involved with MTV, because you really couldn't call it a hip-hop record, if you will, but the record had a strong element of hip-hop, which is the cutting and the scratching. Right. And Herbie was a forward-thinking dude, open to embrace the DST as a musician on his record. Like DST toured the world with Herbie Hancock for several years as a part of his band.
Can I just say shouts to Herbie Hancock, because Herbie Hancock wasn't really accepted by the jazz vanguard.
Well, I think that's probably something that can be debated, but Herbie Hancock comes out of Miles Davis's going from, let's say, classic jazz,
the Godhead,
into jazz, what you might call jazz rock. When Miles Davis broke away from the classic bebop, jazz cool, the suits, the ties, whatever, he went into jazz rock. He electrified his horn. He made bitches brew. He saw Jimi Hendrix and the Rolling Stones that's where all the sexy energy was. And Miles Davis sat back. It's a famous story that I heard Clive Davis tell about bringing Miles to the Fillmore East, because the game had changed and Miles wasn't moving records. He wasn't getting booked. And he went to the Fillmore East to see Hendrix, Janis Joplin, and somebody else. And he saw the crowd. He looked around and Miles said, yeah, okay,
I got this.
I got this. And so his musicians, if you look at the musicians that Miles worked with, that include Herbie Hancock, Chick Corea, it's a litany of artists that all became leaders on their own. Stanley Clark, these dudes all worked under Miles, and Miles kind of instructed them, and then they branched off into other realms of just taking it there. So Herbie Hancock was that kind of cat, and he brought DST in, who was the first to use that record, and then, I don't know, it was Roxanne, and then a million records after.
Did you get any publishing behind that, man? Or?
Yeah, this I don't really want to get into all that.
Okay, so speaking of Bitches Brew, of Bitches Brew, man, was you chopping it down back then, B?
How you mean?
Was you chopping it down, B? You on a record? You in the music?
But what was the best?
I was work on slang. I'm not hip to that.
Well, what was the best action for you in the 80s? I mean, was it?
You guys talking about sex?
Yes.
Man, I don't kiss and tell. What you fucking talking about?
We're not saying give no names. We're not saying give no names.
I'm not saying Madonna.
Right. We ain't asked you to say Madonna. We ain't asked you to say Madonna. We ain't asked you to say that.
You want me to say what? You want me?
We ain't asked you to say Blondie. We ain't asked you to say Deborah Harry. We ain't asked you to say that. But for real though, how did it smell though?
How did it smell, B?
For real though, how did it smell though?
I thought this was gonna be like a Charlie Rose interview or something.
Yeah, this is a Combat Jack show.
Charlie Rose Jenkins.
What's going on up here?
This is Charlie Rose Jenkins.
So, but for real, seriously though, how did it smell?
Wow.
But the thing I'm really loving is,
I can tell you this thing. I'm not, I don't get into the specifics, but it was interesting in the time that I was on the downtown scene and the art scene. it was a time when the AIDS epidemic kicked in, and some of the first people that fell were in the art world and close around the art and fashion and in that downtown scene. So by this time now, people begin to like drop and die, and it's like, what's going on? So it was pretty much free love. Condoms. Where I was walking over here, I happened to tune in on for a minute on the iPhone. I heard you guys talking about condoms and just bugging out, whatever. But it was a transition period where that was not really a necessary item.
It wasn't a concern. It wasn't a concern.
Yeah, not at that level. It pretty much came into play when one was trying to prevent like a pregnancy or whatever. But it wasn't all these other issues that were really in the front of your mind. And then that became something that you had to make that transition. So you had to be aware of things in a serious way. Thank God, I'm still here, which is all I got to say.
You adapted real quick, right?
You better believe it. So
yeah, man.
There was that transition. Sometimes
swimming with goggles.
Yeah, when I flash back and really think about that, I can remember when that kicked in, and it was like, what's happening? And you hear about people that sadly like would like check out of here really quick for like. And it was that period when people didn't know why people were dying. There was a lot of confusion. There was a lot of ignorance initially when AIDS kicked in. They were saying a lot of foul shit, if you can
Haitians
remember. There was all kind of ignorance, about where this thing was coming from. But unfortunately, it is what it was. It was what it is, if you will. And so I remember that affecting the game seriously, where you had to really reconsider certain moves that you could easily make and be prepared to do what you needed to do, when it was time to do it. You know what I mean?
So you doing all this stuff, man, and you making all the right moves. How did you fall into this MTV thing, man?
I got restless. I was getting a little restless with the idea of painting. I mean, from the early 80s, through the Wild Style process, through everything, I was making paintings, having exhibits, showing my work. That was my primary thing. Other things would fall into play that I would dabble with as they did. Jumping a movie here and there, making Wild Style, ending up in that.
Downtown 81.
Downtown 81, which was about and starring my man Jean-Michel.
It's a brilliant movie, baby.
Yeah, I do a cameo in that, doing some graffiti outside on the wall, and there's a little hip hop party in there to show that little slice of what I was doing. And basically, there was a guy that I'd met on that downtown scene who became got a gig at MTV early on. This cat named Peter Doherty became a producer, producing content for MTV. And Peter and I were cool, so he knew what was going on. Peter would go to the Roxy, the Grill, different hip-hop things, but he was also, we go to, CBGB's, Max's, checking out punk bands. And so, I'm into all kind of different music. And Peter, we talk, and he was just like impossible, that MTV, which was literally for me like television apartheid in terms of representing like an accurate view of American culture. And so it was just like whatever. But Peter was my guy that happened to work in MTV, and he knew my whole steez, what I was doing, what I was about, the lanes I was moving in. And so I get restless with painting. This is moving into the late 80s. And I decide to I learned enough about filmmaking several years back, making Wild Style. I want to get a shot at making a music video, because it'd be a more immediate way to do something creative and get it in front of people. Because, there's a lot of solitude when it comes to making art. You have a couple of exhibits a year, but you spend a lot of time just you and a canvas. And I wanted some more immediate gratification. And so I started to try to campaign to get to direct a music video. I had Public Enemy were in the studio. They had made their first album. They were working on the second. I was like, man, I wrote concepts for 5 or 6 songs off the first album, trying to get to do a video. But that didn't happen. But
I know where you going with this.
Yeah, because a woman at Jive Records had heard that I was trying to do a video for Public Enemy. She thought I'd be perfect for this artist that she wanted a video for, and that artist was KRS-One, and that song was called My Philosophy.
My Philosophy.
So I got to direct that video. Peter Doherty, who had done a couple of really low-budget videos for the Beastie Boys, who we all hung out in that same downtown circle, I knew Peter was one of the few people I called to get any kind of tip I could about directing, what my equipment, just anything I needed to know before I get to do this video. So Peter was one of the people I talked to. I did this video. It came out well. In the meantime, Peter has lobbied MTV to the point, like, we got to do something. A few artists are starting to break through. Run DMC, LL, Fresh Prince with Parents Don't Understand is starting to cut through. Records are selling with no marketing, no promotion. Peter's like, let me do a special. There was a special that was done that was hosted by Run DMC and Fresh Prince, Will Smith and, you know, Jazzy Jeff, Fresh Prince. And the pilot was a 2-hour special, Yo MTV Raps, and the last video they played was My Philosophy. Which was incredible. And by the way, next thing I would get a call from Peter telling me that we want to audition you to be the host for this show.
Now, I want to get back to that.
Yes, sir.
My Philosophy is one of my top 10, one of my top 5 hip-hop videos of all time.
Wow.
And I'm saying it not only because it's a brilliant video, but I remember specifically when I saw that for the first time, I was at this club called Payday.
Yeah, downtown. Patrick
Moxie.
Yes, sir.
And I remember the Disc Masters were performing, and the cast that did We Drink Old Gold was performing. And like before, like the acts came on, you know, it was like they cut the music off, and then the screen came down.
That's right.
And then it was like, yo, let me begin. And the acapella kicked in, and niggas went crazy, Fab. They went crazy, B. I was like, what the fuck is this? There's no music. This shit is acapella in front of the Suzuki, my nigga. And it's the hottest fucking song out at the time in black and white.
Yeah,
my dude.
Thank you so much.
Malcolm X on the. Come on, B.
Yeah.
That video was that video brilliant or what, B?
Yeah, like I was telling Combat on the way here, like My Philosophy is like one of my favorite. Like it's definitely in my top 10 songs of all time. Like, and that video is. Like like when he told me, I didn't know you directed it. You know what I mean? I know your history and everything, but I didn't know you did that. And that's like, you know, yeah. That video.
And that's your first.
Yeah, that was the first. Like I said, I
studied the craft, but that was your first.
Craft. I grew up in front of the TV. I was like, I can do this, and we learned a lot about the technical aspects of making film. Plus, like I tell you, I always set it up and tell you people the household I grew up in. Like my dad was there when Malcolm was assassinated. He was following, we was reading, we was concerned about change for us as a people. You know, it was like things weren't cool. So when I saw the imagery for KRS-One's album with him posing, you know, he had the leather fitted on and the bomber jacket, but he's peeking out the window with the shotgun in his hand, I knew right away that this is a homage to the shot of Malcolm. They had firebombed Malcolm X's house.
And the album's name was By Any Means Necessary.
That's right. That's the poster, By Any Means Necessary, for Malcolm, the famous poster of Malcolm doing that, but he's peeking out his window with the gun in his hand trying to defend his family. And KRS-One was doing a homage image, modern version of that. So right away, I got inspiration from that, listening to the content, got with him. He was with all the ideas. So, and a lot of those ideas I had sketched out, the black and white, that kind of gritty feel was what I was going to do for one of the Public Enemy videos. Right. To put them in a context of footage that we've seen from the 60s or 70s, black militants, black power, that whole uprising era. We saw all of that content in black and white. So that was also motivated, that decision, and KRS's attitude and tone was all in sync with that. So that was my philosophy.
And Fab, making videos. Did you ever run with Lionel Martin?
No, but Lionel and them were big inspirations because I actually went on the set when I was angling and campaigning to get to direct my first video. I had met some people that said, "Look, man, these are I learned that they were the guys that had the Video Music Box show." And I was told that these brothers were also directing videos. It was Lionel Martin and Ralph McDaniels. They were like a duo at one point. And I went when they were doing LL I'm Bad. I was on the set when they were shooting that. And it was really exciting, you know, and talk to them and got a sense. So we didn't really hang out, but I was a fan of their work. I knew things they were doing. And I went on the set to see them in action.
It's incredible that you guys realized at this time, and I mean, not just Lionel Martin, but Jean-Michel also, how important video is, how viscerally motivated, how visually motivated we are.
Exactly. That's a great point. And that was, as I said earlier, like we was going to dabble in whatever medium we could dabble in, as I still do, you know, to say what I need to say. And Jean had incredible, sophisticated taste in film. In fact, he had, because Jean, with his amazing work, that stuff, he started really caking up crazy. Like the paper was flowing ridiculous for him. Comparative for what we had just a little.
Now, was this why you were also getting impatient? Because you not really counting his money?
No. You mean in terms of me jumping in the film and stuff?
Right.
No, I was just creatively. I was getting my work out there. I mean, the things that happened for Jean was just crazy. It was just immediate. And he was very generous, and we still were very tight. It's just that things began to happen. So I was proud that my man was on. You know what I'm saying? And then and it was all helping all of us too, because even though Jean never went around calling himself a graffiti artist, the media referred to him as graffiti, so it was something you couldn't shake.
Right.
And that was a thing that he was out there doing something really creative, in a sense, speaking for everybody. And that was one of my goals, was to open a lane that you could see a whole bunch of us representing different aspects of this flavor. Because when I would step on the scene and tell people I had did graffiti, they literally thought I did it all. You know, they had no concept that there was hundreds of us painting our names
on different levels and the whole nine, different scales.
Yeah, so it was an interesting learning process. So, but Jean was definitely into all different kind of cinema as well. Like we would watch ill movies together and just bug out on the craft of filmmaking. You know what I mean?
So my philosophy opens up the door to this audition for Yo.
No, that didn't open. That's so much open the door. It was just, it all coincided that really quickly in May I do my philosophy, and it happens to come on MTV when on the pilot for Yo MTV Raps. So that was, the fact that the video aired was just the most incredible thing I could have ever asked for, because the primary outlet would have been Ralph McDaniel's Video Music Box Show, which would have been great. You know, like maybe Hot Tracks or whatever if you're lucky. But he was edgy. He was like a young black militant in the tone, so I wasn't expecting much except that we got a chance to make it, and I knew that people were going to get to see it.
Right.
Meanwhile, my man Peter Doherty has gotten MTV to do a pilot for this show that airs. The ratings were through the roof. Within weeks, I'm getting called to audition to host this thing. Like that MTV wanted to do this on a regular basis.
On a national level.
Of course, which would happen that fall.
Now, you get this call, but you had already said to us that you were still not wanting to be in front of the camera.
No, but I had did a whole feature film, so I had, my whole persona on MTV, the fact that I would do that, I addressed the same way I did with the character that was on screen in the movie Wild Style. Because, people think, oh, that's you being you. A lot of people really think I'm from the Bronx, because most of the people in the movie are who they really were. Like the graffiti writers were really the graffiti writers. The Rocksteady were really the real Rocksteady breakdancers, whatever. But I'm really one of the only people in the movie that's really acting. I'm from Bed-Stuy. I'm not from the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? So I'm playing this character.
You're playing a character, not yourself.
And I'm playing this character that links the graffiti with the hip hop scene, and that's what brings the two together in the context of the movie. But one of my big inspirations for how I kicked it and how my whole sense of dialogue, that whole slick thing that I'm talking in the movie, when I'm like, man, you might not get the money like right now, but you gonna have money like Barry White, something like that. That whole slick way of talking was inspired by a brother that passed away a year ago. His name was King Case. He was a legendary graffiti writer that actually had one arm. And he's featured in the movie Star Wars, and in fact, I remember. Listen, the scene he's in Star Wars is one of the crazy scenes. He's on the elevated platform and they talking. And he's sitting there talking about how crazy, how fly is working. He got two young shorties with him, a black shorty and a light-skinned shorty, right? The young black shorty is DJ K. Slay.
Yeah.
And the dude is like, push that girl front of a train. He do the message right there. That's DJ K. Slay. So K. Slay came up under my man Case, King Case. And the way Case used to talk, he used to just talk so fly to me. A lot of the words was ebonically wrong, but they sounded so incredibly cool. And he would just be making shit up.
How come it should be ebonically wrong, though?
Because it was just, was like, the shit he said didn't really make sense, but it was the flyest shit that you had heard. So, he used to just say shit.
I mean, that's just black talk.
If you watch Case, you go on to YouTube right now after y'all finish this show and you Google up Star Wars and Case, there's little scenes, because a lot of scenes went up in homage of his passing, because he was, the scenes isn't fly, and he just, oh my God, the way he used to talk is incredible. But his kind of interesting creative way of talking was similar to his way of creating the wild style lettering, the interconnecting of the lettering within the wild style. Like, he was one of the people that just took it to a whole nother level.
So the flyness was unmistakable, undeniable.
Yeah, so he was a big inspiration for my character, Fade.
So Fab, man, who are you auditioning against for your MTV? Who else is auditioning, B?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't really...
Blair Underwood?
No.
Like who?
No, the word I got that, was there was really no other person... it was a very short list is the way it was described, because,
because I can't imagine somebody else.
Peter Doherty has said, look, this guy is on the scene. He knew the lanes I was moving in. He knew I was friends with people like Blondie, people in the new wave scene. I'm immersed in that world right now. I'm bouncing around art galleries and whatever. I could explain it. I've articulated it to him.
Fucking Andy Warhol, B.
I met him. I did get to know him better once things began to pop
Keith
up.
Keith Haring, Basquiat.
We were all tight.
Right.
And so he was like, look, this guy's the guy. So I did a screen test, basically. And the rest is,
So now you're on MTV, B. Now you're on MTV. Are you a star now, dude?
Well, I don't know what stars are kind of a thing. For me, to be honest with you, when you make a record and your record drops and your posters are everywhere and then your record is out and it's banging, you're hot right then. Everybody recognizes you.
Right.
Okay, so you can say that's a start or whatever that's it. With me, initially with Your MTV Raps, I'm still living on Ludlow in the East Village, and very few people in my immediate realm have cable. Cable is not yet something every single person has. And my mom in Bed-Stuy was not wide yet. Right. I had to send the VHS tapes home every week so my mom and my fam can see that, I'm really doing this. So it wasn't something like, even still, mad people seeing me, because cable was not just as pervasive as it would get exponentially in the months and years to come. So that was also something interesting, where it wasn't like, I could still walk around and be relatively normal, but then not long after the initial thing with the show goes on, it could get kind of crazy sometimes, Do
you ever get mobbed like Cat? Like, that's Fab Five Freddy?
Mobbed, nothing too stupid like that. In New York, it's cool. Even to this day, when people recognize you, 90% of people just say, yo, Fab, what's up, what's up? Like, you would think that I know them, and that's a New York thing. People don't bug out too hard. They say, yo, what up, what up, what up?
Is that New York cool?
Yeah, whatever you want to call it. But sometimes out of town, people come up, yo, is that you? Yo, it's just, it could be a little awkward at times.
So now you're this VJ.
Yes,
on top of everything that you've done, you are now a VJ.
Yeah.
Right? The first quote unquote official. Because I know you can argue with Video Music Box and some of the other smaller outlets, but you have been deemed now the first national hip hop VJ.
Yeah,
right?
I guess
and the ratings going through the roof.
Yeah, it's crazy.
How did that change your life, B?
It was a job. It didn't change. I don't know. Like I said, I never felt...
You're being so humble right now.
No. I'm trying to put it in perspective. Be like, I didn't run around like, oh my God, I'm large. Like, boom, boom, boom. It wasn't like that. It's not something that I run around. You run around thinking about the fact that you are in people's homes on their TVs on a regular basis. Because for me, it would be like, I'm doing this every week.
Right.
But I'm still pretty regular in terms of how I'm moving. It's not like some blown out thing because you're moving to New York. Sometimes when you travel, it can be a little uncomfortable in certain situations where you could get that kind of like, they want to run up on you in the mall and you're like, whoa, and everybody wants to get signed. And I pretty much move for Dolo. You know what I'm saying?
Cat's handing you demos now, B?
People just want to have
demos.
People want to conduct long conversations.
Are you getting letters from jail now, B?
A lot of letters from jail. I've kept a lot of those letters. The most interesting mail I would get while hosting Yo would be cats on the inside who had incredible stories and how the videos would affect them at that time. Like at that time period, into the 80s, that time period known as the golden era, when you had a balance of artists that span from the arty backpacker to the extra militant to whatever, you know, gangster, gunslinger, whatever in between, cats would call in right at me from jail and talk about how videos were affecting them or how this content was having positive effects on them, like watching My Philosophy and watching X-Clan and Public Enemy, and these things really have effect, and how they controlled the day room and made sure that when it came to what they was watching on Saturday night, cats would always emphasize that they had the muscle to make sure that Yo MTV Raps was going to be what was being viewed at that time period. Was really like, wow.
That's crazy.
It was really impressive.
Yo, what was some of your most memorable moments, man, being the host of Yo MTV?
I guess the best stuff for me was traveling.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like always been, you know, curious of what's going on around the world. And the fact that the show was aired in many countries around the world was something that was just really the craziest for me. Like all through Europe, in Brazil, you know, even MTV's satellite feed was picked up all down into Nigeria. Like I went to Nigeria in the early 90s and like cats was recognizing me in Lagos, which was like MTV didn't realize that the footprint from the European feed went that far. So those...
Did they keep hyenas as pets in Lagos?
I saw that clip on the internet. I can't say I believe that.
Right.
There's some ill brothers over there. But I'll tell you what I did do when I went to Nigeria. I met Fela. I went to the shrine.
Wow.
I went to the shrine and then Fela, you know, and blazed up.
You spoke with Fela?
Yes, indeed.
Wow.
I spoke with Fela on a couple of continents.
That's crazy.
But that was, I was in the shrine, baby. You know.
Wow.
So,
with the women? Yeah. With the wives?
The wives was there, you know, and it was incredible. And that play that was in that play, Fela, really,
that's a great play, man. Truly
captured the essence and the energy that I felt there. Yeah,
that's a great play.
No question.
That's definitely a great play, man. You know,
so traveling around the world were the best aspects. Going to Jamaica, being in France, London, Japan, you know, and doing the show and meeting people, being in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and meeting hip-hop heads then, early 90s, and having people that was responding to the culture then was just mind-blowing. And it kind of still is to this day, something that came from the hood that you saw as an infant just you know, spark off in all these other continents and these different languages. It was just so incredible.
Yo, skip back a bit, man. What the hell are you doing rapping in French on Change le Beat?
Yeah,
you rapping in French, beat.
Rapped in French, that's right.
Like, are you fluent in French like that? That
no,
you could rap?
That was a whole thing that came up. It's a long story, but in a nutshell, it was a French guy that had this idea, and the idea, the way it was broken down to me, was never supposed to be heard in America.
Right.
I was not trying to be a rapper. But
you weren't trying to be a rapper at all.
No.
I got a good freestyle of you, B.
No, I had some rhymes.
Right, you had some
block
rhymes.
Parties around the way. I can get on the mic and drop a few things. That was
like you was flowing. I saw you.
I had a few, but I was, you know.
You still got them? You want to spit a few?
No, come on.
Spit. Not 16, not 8.
I got
spit 4.
Can I play the clip though?
Spit 4.
Before we close, I'll play the clip.
Oh, you crazy?
Don't be bashful, B. Don't be bashful, man.
Like,
come on, man. We all rhyme, B. I'm about to play before. Remind me, hey King, when we wrap up, I'm gonna play Fat Five Freddy's rhyme. So anyway, French.
Yeah, so this guy had this idea about doing this record. It was a whole, like, a concept thing. It was almost like a scam. Like, we're gonna do this record, we're rapping French, and the concept was based on a private detective, because based on the Philip Marlowe detective stories were well read in France, and I'm like, I needed to pay the rent, and it was just all crazy back then. So we're like, okay, let's do this. So when we went in and did it, I found a beat on the Supreme Team show when they would do their breakbeat section, and I recorded something on the cassette. I took it in. I said, yo, let's make the beat based on this. And after I did all the French lyrics, there was more time on the record because we hadn't really timed it out. So the I do all the French, which is the story that we wrote, and then I learned it phonetically. That was the other thing about how I learned the French. Like, you know, in French, they say oui, meaning yes, but we is written O-U-I.
O-I, yes.
But to learn the lyric, they would write it W-E, phonetically. And so all that was written out phonetically, and I memorized the phonetic, and then practice
the pronunciation,
memorized it, and then got the pronunciation right.
That's crazy.
So it was c'est moi, fait par Freddy, détective privé, toutes les femmes que je suis, elles me courent après. You know, je suis cool dans la rue, tout le monde me connaît. You know, so like I roll up on French joints. You know, those are my lyrics. Like it's the joints from my record, and they go kiki.
Saturday Night Live. Did you go on Saturday Night Live when?
No, I didn't go on Saturday Night Live, but when Blondie were hosting Saturday Night Live, the way the show was structured back then is the host of the show could pick pick the other act that would come on, and because we had developed this relationship, they knew that I was, you know, campaigning, working on making a movie, trying to expose different aspects of the culture, which, you know, we're going to be in the movie. They said, Freddy, you know, we could put a group on the show. Who should we have? And of course, you know, I would talk about Flash and the Furious, because Flash was, you know, they were the top crew. But I said, you know, Flash and them are great. But I said, the Funky 4+1 is similar to Blondie. They're a bunch of guys with a girl out front. Mm-hmm. So they said, oh, Sha-Rock. And so they said, okay. So they, you know.
Internets, if you don't know what we're talking about, a lot of y'all, I'm surprised that a lot of y'all don't know this, but the first rap act to ever appear on Saturday Night Live was Funky 4 plus one more as guest.
Actually, the first rap also on national TV.
On national TV as well.
Yeah.
And this is because of Fab Five Freddy. Give this man a round of applause, man. Yo, Fab, like I told you, we were talking earlier today, man. Your history is so extensive. And I don't want to do your status,
your legacy,
wrong.
I don't want to kick up all
we're still in the mid '90s, B, and not even the mid '90s,
early '90s.
And it's
I'm working on my memoir, and this is a daunting thing because there is a lot, and I really do want to drop a lot of jewels. Also as a roadmap for cats that's just trying to figure things out in pop culture. Because, you know, although I'm heavily associated with hip-hop, my primary thing, along with just focus on, you know, being creative, is just, you know, is the popular culture and being able to, you know, to do different things. And I've been fortunate and just stumbling down different roads along the way that opened up into great, like, valleys and vistas of amazing stuff going on.
Vistas.
Yeah, so it's cool. I want to
check the view.
Check the view. So you could be open to different things, and I want to be able to, I'm putting all that together because some of the shit amazes me, like, you know, and some of it was just happenstance, but then you realize, no, it happened for a reason.
Fab, like your uncle Max Roach, do you think you'll be able to hear that next sound? Because I gotta feel like the kids are working on something now, they're formulating something now, and it may not necessarily be hip hop.
Right, exactly.
It may have.
Working on. I'm always about something new. It's something original, new. I think that's what, you know, is always trying to happen. It's just that the means of getting it out now have changed greatly. So, you know, there's so many other avenues. Like, you know, you guys being able to do this show right now, internet-wise, without having to go through some official
FCC and the whole nine
and all that nonsense is a good look. It's just that there's a million of these things, so you have to, you know, focus on the energy and letting that cream rise to the top. I'm hoping that there's some dope, incredibly new music that's about to do that, or that can get an opportunity to do that. I mean, that's the great thing when you look back to that time in the 80s, that even into the 90s, we almost took it for granted then, but so much incredible stuff was able to come out without, you know, it was just a flood of things that came out.
Imagine if YouTube had been around then, how much more would have come out?
I know, it's crazy. I know, right?
I think
it's just great that YouTube is free.
Yes,
free, yeah.
And Vimeo, and I love the fact that I mean, looking at the Godhead, looking at you, Jean-Michel, Lionel Martin, who understood how to kind of take the hood and give it imagery, heroic imagery. Were you a comic book collector when you were young?
No, I was a fan of comic books, not a collector though. I was definitely very much a fan, and you know, talking once again in terms of the inspirations for a lot of hip hop culture. as it connects to pop art and pop culture, I saw the connections that the comic book thing was a big inspiration. The way everybody in hip-hop created this new name.
The alias.
Like I'm super this, or I'm Grandmaster that. It was all about this superhero. Like he was this regular guy by day, and then you could become this other character. Was the big inspiration for all of that. Mm-hmm. Like, and so because everybody was in tune to those comic book characters and those super, like, you know, Flash is based on a DC comic book character who was the Flash, who was super fast.
All right, how could the Flash be a white man? DC Comics, you're full of shit. Flash was always supposed to be a brother.
Yo, Fab.
Yeah.
You had a successful art show last year.
Yeah, the last few years I've kind of eased back into making paintings.
How was that for you, man?
I had several exhibits. Yeah, I've been planning this out for a few years. I've been working for a few years on a couple of bodies of work, and you know, had some good exhibitions last year and planning some things now.
You selling some good work, man?
Yeah, paintings are moving. You know, I'm connecting with different people. I just met some people from like Philly, like this evening, that involved in some museums and stuff. They were very receptive to what I'm doing, and some things on the horizon. Interesting. I was in this big art show at the Museum of Contemporary Art, the show Art in the Streets, which was this historic look at the history of graffiti and street art, which includes, you know, the street art thing is, you know, Shepard Fairey, Banksy, JR, a lot of people that I am now learning all studied the blueprint of stuff that myself and Jean and Futura and us did in the 80s.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
And they
that
brought in
right
a whole new style of imagery.
Yeah.
Doing different things. Like cats are postering stuff up, just wheat paste postering images that they create all over the place, and people are stenciling things, and it's all that same kind of energy, but a different kind of imagery that all connects to the same root. So it's amazing to meet a lot of these artists and to be a part in showing the historical continuum. That Art in the Street show, there's a great website if you guys are curious. It's called artinthestreets.tv.
artinthestreets.tv.
Yeah, which has little clips of the different artists that were in this show and give you a feel for what that exhibit was like. And you know, I'm on there, and the curator of the show, Jeffrey Deitch. It was a really important museum show that actually broke all attendance records at the Museum of Contemporary Art. Unfortunately, it was supposed to have come to the Brooklyn Museum this spring, but it was...
They got shook. They got shook.
Whoa.
They got shook.
It must have been something.
They got shook.
Yeah, because I was like, how could a show that has been this successful not get a chance to come to where this whole thing started?
That's pretty interesting, man. What else are you working on right now, man?
We're making more work, and we're in talks right now to... I got some film projects we're working on in development, and you know, we're starting to have some conversations about bringing hip-hop honors back around. We didn't do it last year, but we're definitely putting pieces in place to bring something incredible back to hip-hop honors. A show I executive produce with my man Nelson George and, you know, Jack Benson, some people at VH1. We work on that show pretty hard to represent and give props to people that have done significant work hip-hop musically.
Yes, man.
Fab, how is it that VH1 produces better hip-hop shows than BET?
Wow, that's a heavy one. Well, I don't...
Consistently.
Wow. Well, you know, I can't get into compare and contrast personally. I just know, like, it's all about the team. I know I've seen BET make some significant changes in what they've done over the years, and they've expanded a lot of areas. I mean, I just know, like, the things, I've been just blessed with the team that I work with. We kind of, like, known each other for a while and have a sensibility that, you know, this is what we need to do. And you know, like, and not afraid to go out and kind of lead as opposed to follow. So we've been able to carve out an interesting lane and a way to do that show. But I know, BET, man, you know. It's a struggle, man.
It's a struggle, man.
It's hard to please everybody.
It's always a struggle, man. It's always a struggle. One last question for you, man. You've been a lot of places. You've been so fortunate, man. How do you feel about? And you touched upon it, you know, in terms of, like, you know, the street art scene that's going on right now.
Right.
But culturally as a whole, man, like, how do you feel about it? Like, what's your analysis or your, you know, what are you seeing right now let me give you an example. When I look at how music is being created right now and the spontaneity and how people are throwing things up, it's not the same, but every now and then I get some energy that reminds me of the spontaneity that existed in the 80s during the quote-unquote golden era.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Cats are pushing. It hasn't been completely broken down yet, but I'm seeing cats once again trying to break down in small ways the walls of convention.
Exactly. So, once again...
So, how do you feel about what are you seeing right now in culture in general?
I see a lot of good. I mean, I try not to just, to dwell on negative. There's a lot of incredible opportunities now. I think things have changed so quick compared to any other time in culture in terms of the means to do the things like what we're doing now. Just this internet radio stuff, just the digital ways.
The Twitter, the whole nine.
Power of the technology that we have so easy access to. As more people get a handle on it, there's going to be more and more incredible things done. The problem is everybody's, you have to wade through a million, you have to wade through a lot of whackness to really get to the really good stuff, or to be able to aggregate or curate those elements. And finding those elements is the thing right now. It's how to pull it out.
Right.
You know what I mean? What's your algorithm to cut through all the nonsense is what we all have to work on.
Right.
And what those cats that's making it, you could be mad nice with the most incredible thing, but it's how do you get it out?
You don't have the right outlets or the right channels.
Yeah. So you got to put pieces in place. I will tell you this, though, in closing, that one of the things that I see, when you would be at them early hip-hop parties and stand around those DJs and try to figure out what they were doing, whenever I got to meet those cats, they seemed so scientific and technical and intelligent to me. A lot like cats that program and write code and do some of the leading things in the technology. And I see so I've always been encouraged by seeing a synergy in that sensibility. So I think those that have an open mind and are not just blinded by a pursuit of paper will be able to really create something incredible. I think one of the things that is one of the pursuits, but also has been one of the detriments, is the paper.
Right.
It's great to go get it, but when you get it, it can really corrupt. It can really divert you from your original mission. You have to be extra strong to make the same kind of creative decisions when you have the blessings and the burdens of having chips, So the great artists that have been able to hang around have been able to figure that out. The next artists have to figure that out, because when they get in the door, they have to understand how to maintain and not get crazy, because that's what has been you cut through, and you did the legal deals for so many and been involved with so many interesting deals. When you analyze why they didn't happen and you see what happened, you could always see or cut it down to, or focus in on those key things that made it go wrong.
Right.
Oftentimes it's paper.
Exactly.
So that's, and obviously being a lawyer, you've always understood, how that's an important part of the game.
I mean, it's one of the most important part of the game.
So I'm optimistic, I just, I'm optimistic, and I'm listening to whatever's out there,
Yeah,
Ears
man.
is wide open, eyes is wide open, and, the best is yet to come,
Always, man.
Internets. Fab Five Freddy said internets.
That's
Fab Five Freddy.
All right?
Yeah,
the Godfather said internets.
Yes, indeed.
Yo, Fab, man, this has been great, man. We got to do this more often, man. Because like I said, man, I didn't touch on New Jack City. I didn't talk about American Gangster.
Yeah, the movies
you know what I'm saying? We didn't talk about the NWA on the flatbed when niggas is popping off and y'all are ducking. We didn't talk about any of that, man. But
a lot of
once again, man, it just
I want to thank Reggie. He's the one to put me up on Twitter, Reggie.
Yeah, there you go. I
you
did.
gotta be
I
on
put
Twitter.
Fab Five. You heard that right there. Yo, Fab, man.
Yes,
thank
man.
you
My man.
so much, man.
Ah, man. It's a pleasure, Reggie.
All right. Internets. There you go. Dallas, man. Another one in the can.
Combat. The sound you're about to hear will be devastating to your ear. When I first heard that was it for me.
Yeah.
That was it. I was captured. I was kidnapped from that point on.
Yeah.
And like what Fab said, when you would go stand by the DJ, because it was incredible what was coming out of these these DJs' hands. It seemed like the sound was coming from their hands. Like their hands would do something, and then you would hear the sound, or they would cut into something. There's some sound bite. It was crazy, and I was kidnapped from that point on. But Fab, good to meet you and talk with you like this. And
man, it's good to be up in here.
It don't stop.
It don't
ever stop. Yo, Ben Hamid, shout out.
It will never stop.
Yeah. Also, and I just want to say something to Fab. Also, that this is really fresh. Was like, I mean, that's like the greatest shit ever to scratch. Like, you know, it has a feel to it, like the really, the fresh, every different word in it. But yeah, you know, so thanks for doing my philosophy. That's like, you know, I mean, salutes for real. That's serious to me.
There's a bunch of videos on my website.
One Love.
Fab5Freddy.com. A few of my favorites. Yeah, One Love for Nas. Just to get a rep for Gangstar. You know. I did Snoop's first video too.
I know.
Turned him into a dog.
We were talking about that.
What's my name?
Classic.
You know, first videos for Latifah. One of my favorite videos actually is a video I did for Stetsasonic, talking all that jazz.
Wow.
Because for me, coming from a jazz background, I got an opportunity. You know, I told you I'm Max Roach, my golfer. I grew up a lot of that jazz sensibility, and being able to show a visual connection between bebop and hip hop was a triumph for me. You know what I mean? So. Y'all might not know about Stetsasonic, but they was. That's one of those kind of records you could play at a certain party in Brooklyn. If you didn't have you can get robbed because the crowd. There used to be certain kind of records. The crowd would go so crazy. You stick-up kids would just want to get you.
You know what? I spoke to Daddy-O. He's gonna be on the show soon, man.
Yeah, Daddy-O. He's really into technology. I follow him on Twitter. He's very tech savvy.
Yeah.
Daddy-O,
man.
Yeah. Paradise from the X-Clan is a very
tech-savvy cat too?
Oh, extremely. He was one of the original owners of MP3.com.
Wow.
Okay, on the quiet. I mean, he was a Commodore 364 dude in the 80s.
I heard that.
Okay, so like if you really know about the internets and the computers, you know when you hear Commodore 64, all right, you really know.
Oh, by the way, internet, y'all got to do this. Go on Google and look up 55 Freddy on MTV explaining what the internet will be back in 1990.
No, that was explaining email. That was in 94. It
was email explaining email and what the internet was.
MTV ran that like crazy. I was showing my audience because I figured it out and had my first laptop in 94 and
that was groundbreaking, B.
Yeah, and I was like, it's electronic mail.
Right.
Saying
Did you have any idea that it would be what it is today?
You know, I've always been a tech head, so I was reading what the tech people and futurists were saying this was about to be, what the potential was, which, I mean, I'm just what I would do, and this was when the internet was still text-based, but just to be talking with people through text was crazy to me.
Without a charge, without a fee, and just freely talking.
Just
was
communicating with people. So after doing that for a few weeks, I was like, wait a minute, I knew these people was real cornball that I had been communicating with, and I wanted to find was anybody with into hip hop,
with flavor out there.
So a week before that happens, I gave out my email address on the show, my AOL address, which was the first kind of online portal, whatever I was connected with. So the next week, I had gotten so much email. That was a fascinating thing. All the initial heads that hit me were in colleges because they were wired up first. So these were heads from here, there, and everywhere that were in college across the country were like, yes, we're here, and go to this link and go to this message board, and they were blasting me all these links. So now I have all these people I can communicate with. And what happened in that actual version of the show where you see that little clip of me demonstrating email was I was doing a live chat with this cat that I had met that was mad into hip-hop. He had a hip-hop message board. So live on the show, they were flashing the screen and the text messages, the little chat between us, which was
that's crazy,
groundbreaking to me at the time. So
internet. Let me find out. Fab Five invented Facebook, or at least Black Planet.
But you know what? Black Planet really the first to me social networking site. Before MySpace, before Facebook, BlackPlanet.com, but it was all about Girl Meets Boy. But
I still got a Black Planet ID.
That was a social networking platform.
Yes, indeed. So you created your little profile. You created your profile. You connected with others whose profiles you liked.
Come on, B. Facebook is worth like $50 billion or something crazy.
Yeah, man.
And
Black Planet.
Can't get 1 million, right?
Black Planet. Fear of a Black planet.
I think they missed
Fear of a Black planet. Internet.
They missed the money on that.
Combat. You know what? We got to also remind folks too. Tomorrow night, February 9th at Southpaw, Action Bronson, Mr. Motherfucking Esquire,
Mr. Motherfucking
other acts. Southpaw closing its doors in a few weeks
on the 20th.
On the 20th of February. All right, but tomorrow night, I mean, if you're listening to this webcast after February 9th, don't go to Southpaw unless we tell you the day, but February 9th. Action Bronson, Mr. Motherfucking Esquire. Come on out, hip hop. Come on out from your mom's basement and enjoy some hip hop.
Yo, Matt Raz.
Yeah, Dallas stole my shout out. That's what I was gonna say.
That's
but
what you were gonna say?
Peace to Fat Five Freddy for coming through.
There you go.
Great show.
Pleasure.
Thanks
One real
for
quick, me, man.
Shout out to Miss LS. Yeah, I just shouted out, Fat Bar guests and everything. Shout out to Miss LS. She's outside. MissLS.net, one of the great sites on the web. That's it.
Converse, they stopped by tonight. They didn't stick around.
Reebok with the Basquiat's.
Reebok back.
Flood.
Reebok back.
Flood. Yo, A King.
Yo, I want to salute you for just being a pioneer in this game. My first, I grew up in Eastern New York, so we didn't have cable. You know what I'm saying? And so my first Fat Five Freddy, Yo MTV Raps moment was I was in Texas. My brother was in military, and this was I flew out there. This was like 89, 90.
Yeah,
and I think Hammer was just getting ready to do his, he was doing his dizzle and whatnot. That was my first introduction into that whole thing. And
that's that show.
Who you were.
I had Jennifer Lopez stand close.
Jennifer Lopez, look at that.
She was one of the dancers we hired to just be little extras to give the little.
It's before J-Lo.
Oh, she was nowhere near J-Lo. She was Jenny from the block.
From the block.
Taking the 6 train downtown.
From the Arc.
I mean, the hip hop family tree. I mean, you're definitely
thank you, man.
The root of that. A lot of people create careers, like you said, Jennifer Lopez. I mean, look what she is now.
It was all
crazy,
early,
crazy.
But salutes to you, salutes to Combat Jack, the whole Combat Jack show team. And we out here.
Internets, you know what it is. It don't stop. Dream them dreams and then man up and live them dreams, because a life without dreams is black and white and the universe flows in technicolor and surround sound. Blow.
Numinati.
And here's a little exclusive, Fat Five Freddy freestyle as we sign out.
Saying I'm not the best, it's totally absurd. Don't stop, just to get ready, rock body rock. So one Saturday night while I was with my girl and then my OG took us to Harlem. Well, we was cruising around, it was 2:15. I had an ounce of sense and the sky was blue, and together we was ready to do the boogaloo, huh? I saw my OG pull up to the curb. I asked me, G, what the word? He said, everybody chillin' and I'm maxing out, just to rock it to the beat without a doubt. So then I went inside, I whipped my girl to rock the shaka party and it shocked the world. But when I went inside to see the party was packed, the house was moving from back to back. I saw the fly girls and fly guys, the kind of that I made of me a realize that after hip hop, well, a fantasy, just a moving to the rivers of reality. Grabbing the mic and then I taking control, being a monumental master, just a playing the role. Pulling the curtains back, you're letting you know that when I'm on the mic, I must have run the show. I like this, son. And to my funky beat, I went to rock a microphone and just a very sweet. So like this, y'all, and we don't quit. Just a hip hop pop and that sure shot shit, y'all. So this is it, y'all. So we can never ever miss, y'all. I just grew to the funky sound. While I rock a microphone and you get on down. A whiz kid, all the wheels are steel. My mellow cutting it up, but with a sex appeal. Whiz kid, he's down by law. My mellow whiz kid, got cuts galore like this or like that. So we can never ever be the whack. Well, I went to a party the other night, so wasn't really on in the after sight. You see your info gangster, your town was there. I see my melodies and rockers in the first step. I saw the sun ascend, I with a 44, I put a bullet in the head of a freak on the floor, and then my melody child, Charlie Chan, just a coolin' out. I with a that Batman to the beach, y'all. I'm so sweet, y'all. Fat Bob Freddy, get you up and out the seat, y'all. One time, and we rock your mind. A whiz kid, kick the beat right on time. To the beat, y'all. I like a this, y'all. I like a this, y'all. And we don't stop. You know the cool beat boys got crazy juice. A cool beat boys all bustin' loose. And with the sneakers bright, his lace is loose. You know the cool beat boy got the utmost juice. With a big belt buckle, his name is Brass. Qualifications to rock your ass. A funky fresh knit in just the right fit. And a black leather bomber on top of it. You may fantasize and realize that then finally you know that I'm in the house and just turning it out. And I'm on your stereo, y'all. To the beat, y'all. I like this, y'all. And check it out, y'all. And one time, electric boogie dancers get loose in the background freestyle. Check them out. Oh, yeah. Females and males doing electric boogie for your entertainment pleasure on the R&B. Check them out. Oh, yeah. 1, 2, 1, 2, y'all.